Oof. Oh, we may not get it this time. Oh. What's up, people? It's your boy Jatwan. I'm here today in Kerbal space program. Now, there's been some things still being said about people having some trouble building airplanes, SSTOs, getting things balanced in general. Now, airplanes I also always found is really easy, so we're gonna delve into airplanes once again now that we are further into release and, well, looking towards more DLCs, more patches, and we're going to start with a really easy aircraft to build. We are actually using some propellers from Airplanes Plus because there's no easier thing to build than an airplane from Airplanes Plus, in my personal opinion. So we are just going to do this real quick, and we're also going to show you the difference between the center of mass and center of lift and the effects it has on the aircraft that you're building. Okay, so that's pretty good. This is a really well balanced aircraft right here. Now we are going to leave our center of lift underneath our center of mass, like I said, and we are going to go ahead and add on our wheels. We are not going to use Airplanes Plus wheels. I actually prefer the stock wheels. As much as I usually don't like using the stock parts, we are going to use the stock parts in this instance because the wheels seem to react a bit better for us this round. And let's go ahead and drag that up here, and now we have a tail dragger. If you've ever tried to fly a tail dragger, they can be horrendous at times to try to land. We're going to turn our steering off. Our steering is going to be in the rear, and we are going to set our rear brakes as high as we can. So let's go ahead and set up our action groups here. We want to toggle our engine. These engines come with a thrust reverse, so let's go ahead and hit that on there. Now we still need some fuel. I haven't added fuel on here because I usually add fuel on craft like this, so I can add it on a bit late, which is fine because you'll see what I'm going to do here is I can actually use this aircraft to balance everything out. I can use the fuel itself to do all the balancing of my craft. So let's go ahead and put this on here, and we're actually going to drag this so it's near center. And we're going to drag it underneath our aircraft and then bring it in. So it's going to look like two bombs. We can actually, if we wanted to, drag that up a bit. Excuse me, everyone. I am currently still being assaulted by my allergies. So there you go. We're going to take this out for a flight. You're going to see it's going to lift off really well. Alright, once again, our center of mass, center of lift, almost dead center. Turning on our engines, going full throttle. We're going to take off really quickly. As you see, our angle of attack on this aircraft, very high, reminiscent of World War I/II aircraft, which is beautiful in my opinion. Unlike the majestic bird I expected her to be, she lifts right off. Now, I did not set all these. I should have. I forgot. Naughty me. I'm setting the external ones. The ones to the extremities are my roll. That's all my roll here. We're going to set this rear one to pitch, and this one's just going to be yaw. Now, as we fly, you'll see it's going to perform really well, except for one thing. Once we do that, look how quick it responds. So this is going to be because how centered our center of mass is. This makes for a really good fighter, and a really nice twitchy fighter, because now you can actually maneuver really quickly. Now, mind you, I have caps lock on. This is letting me get very precise maneuvers on. So if I turn the caps lock off, it flips really quickly, and the problem is we're dropping a lot of speed. Now, if you were in any competition, you don't want to drop that much speed in your maneuvers. It's good to be very twitchy, but you don't want to drop a ton of speed while you're maneuvering. So let's go ahead, bring it back to the VAB, and you'll see you actually lose a lot of altitude, a lot of speed, a lot of control when you're doing some maneuvers. And that was probably not the best thing in the world to do. That runway is a little sensitive. Okay, once again, let's take a look at our center of mass, center of lift. And you see how pinpoint accurate they are, almost one on top of the other. So we're going to drag this all back, so that way our mass is actually not centered on there. We're going to bring it where I like it, where the center of mass is actually just in the middle. It cuts right through the middle of our center of lift. I do this because I like how it performs and it doesn't lose a lot of speed on the turns. And we're actually going to drag this up some too. Now, if you do this, watch your camber on your wheels, because that can cause you a lot of headaches. You want this to be straight up and down as much as you can. Alright, so this is basically how I fly my aircraft. We're going to drag this back a little bit more. Right there is how I like my airplanes and my SSTOs. This actually gives you really nice stability when you are flying. So let's go ahead. I'm going to turn off caps lock. We're going to turn on our engines and we're going to fly. And hopefully this time we're not going to destroy the runway. Once again, I forgot to set these. We're already off the ground. You see right here, it's a lot slower to respond on the turn, but this is what I use for a lot of my flights, because I don't want my SSTO to be extremely twitchy. That is not a good thing when your SSTO is twitchy. That can cause a lot of headaches, but look how long you can hold a maneuver, and look how tight you can keep your aircraft around the VAB. That would make a really nice aircraft. The roll is a bit lacking, so I would jam on these, and this is going to let me roll a bit better. Even though you would not want to be this tight in a competition, this will allow you to get a really nice aircraft, really stable. This is good for bombing rounds. And mind you, this is with caps lock off. I wonder if I can actually land on that. Let's see how well I can do this. This thing is really floaty. This thing is extremely floaty. That is a little ridiculous. Very low stall speed because all the lift that we have going on here. Ooh. This is beautiful. Oh, whoa. Wow, I really like this airplane. So, take a look at the difference here. That had our center of mass and our center of lift centered vertically, but our center of lift is just beyond our center of mass. So let's go ahead and drag that back some. And we're going to pull our wheels forward so we don't have a really bad incident. So we're going to be a full bubble behind here, or half bubble out. Let's see what happens with the half bubble out. Our same aircraft, as you saw it performing absolutely beautifully last time. This time our center of lift is way behind our center of mass. This is going to cause our craft to have a lot of lift in the rear, but the nose is going to be a little problematic. You can see right here, we lift and it noses down. So let's do some maneuvers. See right here, this is the same exact aircraft, and we have our maneuverability is basically shot. It is nosing straight down, and it is just hard to maneuver. I am jammed down right here, and you see we currently are not able to get as close around the VAB as we were previously. We have lost a lot of maneuverability, and our aircraft is not as responsive. This makes a really stable aircraft, but at the same time you will be nosing down. You have to fight that nose down. The tendency for it to nose down is great right now. You see, if you look at the vertical speed, it's steadily going to be creeping down until we get enough speed, and now it will be stable here. But this is not an aircraft I would not want to fly. I would not want to use anything like this in a competition because you have absolutely dreadful maneuverability. And if you go in for a landing, this is going to make things really complicated because now you have to think so far in ahead. How am I going to get to the next point? How am I going to land? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? This lowers so much of the fun of the aircraft as well. So we're going to go ahead and bring her in for a landing. You see I'm flying this thing really, a lot of prediction going on here. And I actually undershot that, so I got to dive down a bit here. Now for tail dragger, you got to pay attention for your tail draggers, or you will end up in a world of hurt. I'm going to turn off my brakes because I'm going to reverse my thrust. And as I come in, I'm going to pull up on the wheel, let my rear wheel hit first, and once it's there, let the rest of the craft follow. Full reverse, because I don't want to hit my brakes because that's going to cause me to nose down. And now I can. Now another trick you can do is you can go full flaps and brakes at the same time. That's going to force your aircraft to want to go back up, but I have a really low stall speed. So if I do that under 20 meters per second, it's just going to float me up a bit more, and I might overshoot my landing. So what about the opposite? What if I want to drag my center of lift in front of my center of mass? This is what a lot of people run into when they are doing their aircraft, their SSTOs, and they end up with their fuel being offset. So let's go ahead and drag this back a little bit, and let's just drag our fuel itself back. And let's take this all, move it forward. So now our lift is in front of our center of mass. This is not something you want to do very often unless you are doing some sort of design, funky design, which you can do. We're going to ignore the fact that it's clipping over there. But let's see what happens and how it flies. Look, once again, engine's hot. We're going to go ahead and go to precision controls, full throttle. Now, our nice, well-balanced aircraft is going to be slightly less agreeable this time around. And we're going to start flipping nose over tail because our lift is going to continue to want to drag us that way. Like that. Now, mind you, I am not in control of this aircraft right now. Now, if you find yourself in this situation, you do want to get landed pretty quickly. We are basically in a tailspin and things are going to look really bad for us really quickly here. And somehow we survived that. And Julie is excited because Julie is incredibly insane. So that's what's, if you are running into your SSTOs flipping head over tail, that's what's happening. Your lift has gotten in front of your center of mass. You don't want that to happen. Let's show you a tactic you can use to get rid of that flip. Alright, so here we have a situation where we would be flipping head over tail. And this is going to be our simulated flipping head over tail, and you will see what's going to happen. It's not going to be fun, but it's going to be very interesting way to learn how to combat this. So what we're going to do to combat this is we're going to dump all of our fuel up front. Once we do that, we're going to gain all of our control back and at the same time lose some of this mass back here. So that being said, we should be okay. So let's go ahead, get everything engaged, and you see we're going to keep this pinned here, and we're going to go to our other two tanks here, and we're going to pin these down here because we're going to need to do this pretty quickly. Okay, so here we go. We're going upwards, and I'm going to make sure I'm high enough so I have time to recover, because right now if I touch any of the controls, we're going to lose control. It's not exactly what I want to do just yet. So let's get over the water, get a little higher. I should be able to recover about 500, so let's do this. You see right here, doing fairly well, but all of a sudden we lose control. Let's dump our fuel into the front here. And just keep dumping it, keep dumping it. Alright, stop. Now, our center of mass should be a lot more balanced out, and you'll see we can actually control our aircraft now. So what you want to do, if you ever run into the instance where you're nose over tail, you can see right now we can actually do that maneuver. We're actually almost spot on now. And once again, dump that fuel into the nose. Oof. Oh, we may not get it this time. Oh. Oh. It's a good feeling when things work out. That's a little scary. But yeah, that's what's going on if you're going nose over tail, is you have too much fuel in the back, and your center of mass, center of lift has now gotten messed up. So your balance of your aircraft is off, and so now with this being corrected, I have a really nice, well-balanced aircraft, and we're going to keep dumping that fuel into the nose because that's where it needs to go for this current design. And now we've made our aircraft a lot better balanced. It's not the best, but it's a lot better balanced. So these are some of the things you've probably run into if you're having a lot of trouble with airplanes. If you're running into issues with your airplane failing to lift off or flipping nose over tail, those are things that can be controlled just by balancing out your aircraft a little bit. So a few things to keep in mind when you're building your airplanes, when you're building your rockets. Just keep some of those things in mind. You know, you want to check your angle of attack if you're building a tail dragger. Check your speed. Use your thrust reverse on your propellers. Or air brakes, even air brakes work fantastic. Now, if you are building a SSTO and you keep flipping over, pump your fuel to the front. Get your nose weight down. That's going to prevent you from flipping end over end, and it's going to save your craft. I've done that on the fly before. I usually keep some spare tanks up front of only liquid fuel when I'm coming back in with rapiers, and that saves me from having to pump a lot of fuel. That is a little trick I use for my SSTOs. So that being said, it's all about the balance of your craft. So hopefully you have learned a little something in here, and hopefully I've helped you out a bit. If you have learned anything, or if you agree with the things I have said, then drop a like, give me a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next video. If there's anything I said wrong, definitely correct me in the comments down below, or if you have tips, tricks for other end users, definitely drop them in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. For now, it's your boy Jatwan. I'm out. Peace.